right, good evening, everybody. Do a quick little sound check here, see if you guys can hear me. Ryan's like, take it! Take it! Got some of the tumble and bang some good green today. Nice, James. Alright, cool, thanks, James. Does it sound different? No. My nose is stuffed up, so if I sound a little bit more sexy, it's just because my nose is stuffed up. Slow jams at 9 with Bryan. No, whatever the baby. I guess Asher had it last week first, and then the baby had a runny nose, and of course I can't have any of my own food. Although my wife thinks that she was sick first, and then I told her, I was like, "This is what I get for kissing you." See, I was fine. If I wouldn't have kissed you, I wouldn't have been sick. But now I'm sick, and my nose is totally stuffed up. So yeah, it should be fun. But it's like to the point where it's like I can't even blow it. It just won't come. It's like, yeah. So it's it's a lot of fun. Yeah, stuffed nose is hellish. Yeah, it sucks. I mean, it happens. I mean, I don't know. Whenever the temperature changes like this, we go from like summer to fall. Like today was like the last 2 days have definitely been more fall like. Like the leaves aren't coming down, but the temperature has definitely changed. And whenever we do like the season change, I typically get some type of a head cold. I actually I like have issues with my ears, so I get like balance issues. Like I had a balance test, and they were like, "Yeah, you have inner ear damage, so don't be surprised if you get dizzy on occasion." Like I'm never allowed to be like a bridge painter or like a tightrope walker or anything. He's like, "Yeah, sorry, those jobs are eliminated from your career path." I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess that's all right." So I am a little bit more susceptible to it. And in meeting with the ENT, it was funny. He's like, "Hey, you don't even deviated septum? Do you want a nose job?" I'm like, "No, I'm good, man. I'm good." I was like, "I do jiu-jitsu." I was like, "The worst thing last thing I want to do is get my nose fixed just to break it again." I'm like, "I've probably broken my nose like 8 times in my life, probably more than that." And he's like, "You want a nose job? We get you." I'm like, "No, I'm good. I'm good. So, but unfortunately, I'm more susceptible to it, so it sucks. But it is what it is. Sugarcane, lots of germs. Wait, hold on. Oh, sugar carries a lot of germs. Oh, they said sugar cane. I'm like, wait, should I be having sugar cane? I really don't eat that much sugar, to be honest with you. Yeah, with DJ Bryan. Yeah, look at that. I talk about slow jams, and he comes out of the woodwork. Yeah. All right, so let's dive in today. We're going to do the same format last night. I tried, I don't know if you guys saw it in Discord. I had like the page built for like the link for, because he wanted me to put on a page to explain it. His site, it doesn't really kind of explain things. Like you could go over there and purchase it. But he told me to like lay it out. So I had it done, and I thought I was closing down other windows, but I unfortunately closed the window down that I built the webpage on. And yeah. And then I got busy and I couldn't get it finished. So I'll have the scanner page finished for you guys tomorrow if anybody wants access to the scanner. All it is a tracking link. It'll go over across to his site. And then you should be good to go. His doesn't explain a lot, and his isn't fully built. So I'll actually have more pictures of it and kind of that kind of stuff on our page than what he currently has. All right, so looking at today, you guys can see as far as 24-hour pip changes go, big move of the day was obviously the dollar yen. Okay, now dollar yen obviously has retraced slightly in the last 5 minutes. It's up 0.04, but you can see it's down 0.5% over the last 24 hours. And it was one of the pairs last night that I believe we had a downtrend set up. We were talking about going short in it, and really not surprised. Again, we had talked about consumer confidence data most likely coming in low. It came in a lot lower. That was kind of the first thing that kind of set the market off today. And not only did they lower it, but they also revised the previous month, down to, it was 35.1. And this is an interesting number as well, because you guys can see that there is no thing here. You got to actually pay for it. I don't know if you guys saw it or not. If you got the free news, the news kind of analysis report, I do have all the way through 2019 kind of tracked in here, and I am tracking it on a regular basis to make sure that we can kind of get good results for it. So, but again, this is one of the biggest misses of the year. So, quite large, kind of set this thing off. Yeah, and then again, 10 p.m. tonight we have the official rate cut, or the official rate New Zealand. I don't think it's changing. I don't know that the rate statement is going to say too much. I do believe they have a rate cut in the future, but I don't think it's this time. If it does drop, it'll be down to 0.75, which will obviously make the pair move. But I don't think it's happening this one. I believe it'll happen the next time, is what they had talked about or mentioned, or what the forecast is saying. So we'll see, how that goes. Going into tomorrow, really not a whole lot going on. We basically have crude oil. Whatever James's inside guy says, we're not going to do it. No, but they're saying, it's basically going to be flat, is what they're saying. You guys can see that they're really all over the place. They haven't, this is one of those ones that they really haven't been right this year, right? Or the last, at least through June. But this time they're really calling it basically almost flat. So we'll see. Like I said, at this point, I don't actually believe that the drones blew up anything. I think it's 100% just news, making the whole thing up. I believe it's fake news. Because, again, there's never been... I don't know. It used to be if you mess with Saudi Arabia, we sent the whole army. Now we're not doing anything. And even more so, again, China owns a lot of that stuff as well. Basically it shows... Because there's been no response, it basically shows it didn't happen. Because we have interest over there, but, again, China gets very upset now about oil because they need oil pretty bad. And they didn't say anything either, so... If nobody's saying anything, it's kind of like this whole thing, like, if nobody's there to, if a tree falls and there's nobody there to hear it, does it still make noise? It's kind of the same thing, is where I think, surely not. James is taking different sugar. Hey, sugar is what makes the mason jar good. If it wasn't for sugar. All right, so let's dive into some charts here. Like you said, actually, real quick, so you guys can see, dollar yen is really the only thing that got even remotely close with ATR today. The yen kind of retraced back again in 24 hours. Again, you guys can see, it has started to move since that time, but again, retracement. Whenever we see a lot of red and green in the same number, you guys can tell that, again, things are retracing a bit. And again, you can see in the last 15 minutes, we've had a bit of a retracement inside of the yen. It's definitely moving up. But again, is that giving us a downtrend setup? That could be kind of what we're looking for. All right. They blew themselves up. Maybe. It could be, right? All right. So let's go across. We'll start over here. All right. So talked about this last night, and we talked about how we had a downtrend setup. Now, this thing spiked up and then ended up pushing right back down again. So it kind of did what we wanted it to do. It just went up and went higher. You guys can see it did grab the kind of start of the move, not the kind of smaller one. And again, that can happen. It's not the end of the world that these things do happen. It grabbed this zone. Again, in this kind of pairing, what looks better? The gap kind of base here or this one? And again, the answer is the farther one away, obviously. Again, this is, 4-candle drop down on Friday versus just the gap and kind of base, kind of sideways type thing. And again, this was the warning on this one, that if we take this one short, it's going to have to be short term because it is kind of wedged between two zones. Now, nice thing is it did kind of blow back up through the top. Again, you got to like that. You got to appreciate that. And again, this zone got blown up. Okay, it wasn't the highest quality. Spent a lot of time here, even on the 30 minutes. It was only a 2-candle drop versus what we had here, which was a lot longer, right, to the downside. And again, that's what hit, right? Had you gotten to this one. Same situation, and again, as we were pulling back up again, we were in that downtrend setup situation when it was green. It did come through. Now, it was a bit of an anchor break because it did actually go higher than the close. But again, the close was, talking about a Monday, so a little bit funky, right? But it came up and hit a 4-hour zone and then was able to collapse back down again. The original zone here really did give us a good risk to reward ratio. It was close. It wasn't horrible. But again, the zone is... It is what it is, right? It was this kind of small area. So, again, getting the burst through the top, you had to be prepared for that. This is one of those things that gets a lot of people. They place a trade, they say, oh, I got stopped out on it. And then they just forget about the trade. But you always have to have a secondary backup, and that's what would have happened here. So, had you kind of been relying upon this area, again, we're talking about, 8 pips, right? Okay, so maybe we got busted on 8 pips. Okay, it's not the end of the world. The zone at the upper one, again, this is based off the 4-hour wick over wick. This one is about 10 pips. Again, not bad. But the difference between these two is here is the one, right, for 8, and you're looking for 24, right? So we were down 8. In this case, when we hit and we went all the way down, in this case, you were pulling 57 out of it. All right, so again, you still had your risk here. This was a 5-to-1 risk-to-reward ratio. You were already down, let's just call it 8, right? I think it was actually, we'll call it, even if it was called 10, right? We still were able to pull 57. We were able to pull 47 out of this trade instead. Okay, so you always have to have a backup and go to the next level. If it doesn't work, you just can't take your basketball and go home. And unfortunately, I think that's what some people do. You place one trade and you say, okay, forget it. I'm looking at something else. Man, I took my loss today. I'm out. Okay, where this turned out to be the great trade, right? Downtrend setup, came up, grabbed the high quality level. Again, nice basing, nice push down over about 16 hours of push. Came up, barely touched. Again, you took almost no heat in this trade. Immediately came down, based, and then boom, it collapsed. Pulled up, grabbed more orders, and then dropped to the downside. And again, it did actually grab at the wick over wick as well. Came down, went right back up, grabbed the wick over wick, and then pushed back down. So you could have taken this in kind of two little areas here. Again, even if you took that little loss, okay, this would have been your secondary entry. Right in there. Okay, so could have taken it two different ways. All right, on this one. And again, that one didn't work. All right. So again, that's why always, when you're taking small things and you're taking tiny risk, it's okay to get an 8 or 10 pip loss. Okay. If you take an 8 or 10 pip loss, again, you're still, basically at about 20 pips risk max, even though it was based over two trades. In this case, you were looking for, and it was almost a 6-to-1. It was 57, right? And it actually went a little bit lower, but you're talking about almost a 6-to-1 risk reward ratio trade in this one. Okay. At 3-to-1, you only need to be right 26% of the time. In this case, we were right 50% of the time. You guys can see where we're still making, good money on this, right? So that's where it's important. Now, here's where we kind of run into a little bit of a dilemma. We are sitting in the daily demand zone. Okay, we've seen price push out of it one time, and again, it will probably grind a little bit deeper into it. But the question is it are you willing to take a long off this area? And for me, with everything we saw, probably not. I don't know that I would off of this now. I'd like a little bit of a retrade. Like I said, we are in a downtrend. It's obvious we're in a downtrend. I'd like to get a pullback. It's kind of finding where the good pullback would be. I mean, again, you could extend this across and use this kind of wick over wick as your pullback area, right? You could use that level, okay? Or you could use the one up higher, and again, based off the same purple zone. So, kind of your call on that one. I'd like to see how far this one drives down. Again, yes, it's 9 pip risk, but we're only talking about being able to capture 24. So, not the best risk reward ratio on that one. I may want to wait till we go higher. But if it drives all the way down to here, then that's a little bit different, right? If price grinds down and we're down here at the, say 72.50, now all of a sudden the risk reward ratio becomes a little bit more attractive, and you can use this zone as a potential area to take the short. Okay. And again, this trade would have triggered at about 6 a.m. Okay. So again, it was there. Even if you came into this one a little bit late, you could potentially got in and still, manage to pull 50 pips out of this one. When consumer confidence came out, the first 30-minute candle move off of this one, again, the reason why this one moved with consumer confidence is because of the yen. Obviously, the yen is the proxy for obviously the stock market, and that's why you saw this one move. And in the first 30 minutes, this one was able to move about 20 pips. So almost 3 strike prices on a what's it called? On a 2-hour, right? So you had, quite a bit of movement in the 2-hour period there. Had you taken the 9 to 11, you're talking about really kind of here down to here. 10:30 to the 11 candle is down here. So yeah, about 30 pips. So about 4 to 5 strike prices that you could have, dealt with this one if you really wanted to. That's basically the setup for that. Let's go across to Aussie, New Zealand. All right, so what is this one doing? Didn't do much, right? Kind of hit that level, based across a little bit, kind of popped up, and then dropped again, right? So here's our 19 candle, and there's our 19 candle from last night. It based, went right along. It did pop, which, again, we were kind of calling for the pop, right? Last time I was down here, we had a nice pop off of it, and that's what it did. It popped up, it grabbed orders. It didn't quite. It got right to the bottom of this. I mean, I don't think with the spread you would have got it, in any entry in this one. Again, this was a base here. This wasn't a bad one either, but it was just kind of once this thing popped here at 6, playing that retracement like we've saw in the other pairs, you could have taken this back down again. So that's probably what you would have done, is waited to see where the pop went to, where look for the turn and then play the retracement, but. I like the Aussie yen better than I like this one, just because, again, we already know that there's buyers sitting right here. the distance from here down is not as great as what it was in the Aussie yen. Now, we are again at the bottom of an area we talked about before. Here's this purple square that we put out that says if we were able to break through, we'd be looking to potentially take some shorts into this thing. Haven't gotten it. You guys can see when I drew it. Look at this. Where I drew it, I said I'd like to be getting something short in this area. Look at this. It went right off the top of it. It didn't even it didn't even enter the zone. So interesting that we had the draw there just below the the prior zone for entry, and we were unable to actually get into it. It just didn't get there, right? And again, we are in a downtrend at this point. It's actually sideways down with bias. Actually, I forgot to do this. Hold on. Let's do this real quick. Aussie, New Zealand, yeah. So they have a downtrend set up right now, so they're counting this as green. Let me see if we change it to... Yeah, theirs are still saying it's green. All right. So basically we have Euro Yen is in an anchor break to the downside. Euro New Zealand is an uptrend set up over here. You guys can see the CAD pairs are all downtrend set up. Right, dollar CAD downtrend, dollar Swiss, dollar yen. So we will mark those off and look at those. And then again, this is what we're talking about right now is the downtrend setup. And again, that's more based off the 4 hour on this one. Again, the settings are slightly off. And what else do we do? Aussie CAD, which we don't typically look at. And also pound New Zealand is in an uptrend setup, so we'll check that one out. Pound Swiss we don't look at. This one is interesting because it's a double. All right, so that's what we're looking for right now as far as scanners go. Yeah. Yeah, okay. I'm just screenshotting this and putting this at the top so I can get it easier. I have so many different windows up. If I don't screenshot it, it's harder for me to find it right now. Yes. Yeah, this is a scanner that I helped him beta test it last year. And we sent some revisions back of what he was going to kind of update. And then he kind of made some changes to it. The one option that he didn't put in was the alert. We were looking for an alert, but I don't know if it was just a bit difficult or what it was. And he kind of shifted the alerting into something else that he's doing. He was actually creating an algo for somebody. And but there's a potential that I can get him to kind of put it back in. But yeah, so this is a scanner that we are going to have available. And again, it coincides with the forex class. If you guys have the forex class, you'll know exactly what these means with the downtrend setup and how to trade them. It's kind of like a complement to that. All right. So again, downtrend setup situation. It's marking this current one as green. Again, a little bit of arbitrage back and forth. It is based off of Oanda candles. It's not based off of IG candles, so they are going to be slightly different. More or less, they're going to be the same setups though. They'll just be slightly off. Just understand that. So again, still looking to the hit, just one on the downside, and the scanner is telling you the same thing. And again, I drew the purple box, so we'll see if it continues to follow through. So Aussie dollar, right? Oh, you guys can't see this. Hold on. Bam, bring it back. Sorry. I'm like, I got a screenshot. I have two things. I was like, oh wait, it's got to say that over there. All right. So looking at Aussie dollar, okay. Now again, Aussie dollar is giving us sideways with a downward bias, and here's why. This red candle is engulfed by the prior green, and again, it is more or less sideways. You guys can see on the 4 hour, we drew it last night. And again, this is where the gap kind of bounced off of, right? Again, interesting place for the gap to take off of, right? It went sideways, it popped up, and again, it went back to the level of basing. You guys can see it down here as well. You guys see this level of basing right here? Okay, that's what we ran into, and we're stuck and kind of bouncing back and forth. This one didn't have as much movement as we thought. You guys can see right about here. This is that 6 a.m. candle, right? That kind of we saw the spike in, and then again the 10 a.m. is right here. Okay, not as large, just a little bit of a pop up and down. Again, this pair isn't as at risk as other pairs. Okay, this is nothing that would have really affected gold too much, right? It's not really an inflation number, so it's not kind of directly pointed at gold. But you guys can see it didn't really do a whole lot today. It actually had a rather small movement. You guys can see here it's up 25 for in 24 hours. ATR on this one is where are we at now? Yeah, we're down to 37, so it's shrinking. It's definitely shrinking. And again, we're kind of looking at that. You guys can see the last 16 hours we've been really stuck. Basically since 6 a.m. this morning, we've been basically stuck in the same area, and we're talking about a 7 pip range. This blue line is at 67.93, and you guys can see the top of that area is at 68.01. So we're talking about less than a 10 pip range. So just really not a whole lot that's, not a lot that's tradable on that pair right now. And with it being sideways, again, this is why the scanner is nice, because you can literally look at it and say, oh, it's sideways. I'm not even looking at that one. Let me go to the next one. All right. Looking at pound Aussie. Pound Aussie is also sideways with a downward bias. And again, this one, I think the gap is kind of messing this one up a little bit. For me, I'd probably say this is closer to a downtrend setup, if anything. Looking for an area to pull back to. We marked this zone off last night, saying, "Yeah, this is going to be an interesting area. It's got to figure out how to get through this area before we're willing to trade it." And it did go through. Again, that's that. This is a 3 a.m. candle, okay? Or actually, I guess it's a 6 a.m. candle. That 5:30 to 6, and again, matching it up to the time. It's here. Okay, this is a reaction to low speaking. And again, it's Australia. Okay, so again, that's why this thing moved. But again, did it really change its trajectory much? Not really. What did it do? It popped up, went to this level of basing, popped down. It went to this level of basing. Here, I'll draw this way. There's the top of that zone, and there's the top of that zone. So again, kind of a predictable kind of bounce. I mean, that's the first clean entry here. Again, basing and a first pop down. This one was a retest of that little area. Looking back, again, we were already in this zone. Where was the next zone? Here's a nice big pop. There's a little bit of a base, but there's a next pop. So interesting how it popped top to bottom. But in total, we are talking about a range of about 127. So again, this pair tends to move a bit more. But we never really cleared the area. We popped up, we popped down, and we're still at the exact same spot. So nothing's really changed in this one. I'd like to see some momentum, something to the downside. The news later this week is, let's see, where is the pound news? Here, 9:45 on Thursday. Okay, I think this pair will be a big mover on 9:35 or 9:45 on Thursday, when the BOE speaks. Okay, that will definitely drive. Question is, where are we going to be before the news is, or before he starts talking? That's what I'm wondering. Unfortunately, on the 4 hour, I'm really hoping we rally in the next 2 days to get us back up top. Because I don't really, if we just stay here, it's really not the best takeoff point, and I don't really like the way that this is all formed. I wouldn't say this is the strongest. I mean, where the blue line is, yeah, it's not a bad zone. Again, that's where we had a large extended range candle, but this is all kind of just crap, right? Just junk down in here. So, this is going to be the big mover on Thursday morning. Unfortunately, it's not giving us a good entry right now, but we'll see how it, what comes of it later. Looking at Euro Pound. Euro Pound will also move, but just be cautious with that one because Thursday, Draghi is speaking at 9:30, and then at 9:45, you have Carney speaking. So you kind of have back-to-back right on top of each other. All right? Now, interesting enough, remember we did the Harry Potter trade? It literally came down to the very bottom of it, and now hasn't moved anywhere. Okay? As you guys can see, this one is basically flatlined. Okay? It did pull back a little bit. We were in a downtrend setup. We mentioned this before, the downtrend setup. It did trigger again, right? It was coming back. It was looking for orders, but really didn't have much to grab, right? Little tiny wick over wick right here, but I mean, it did go down, but is that enough to really grab? I don't know. Like I said, we had some grinding last week. This way, it's basically sideways. It's in kind of a small range. The range for this one is about 40 pips, but, this would have got pretty painful, right? It was basically this moving at 3 a.m., right? Moving at the 7 a.m. 4-hour candle. It was that early morning, it was basically this, German climate, and then a little bit of this, but besides that, nothing, right? Nothing. Again, one single pop and then just sideways. So, again, without any catalyst, it's just this market's not moving. Okay, we're not at a low, we're not at a high, we're kind of wedged in the middle, and it's kind of not even. Again, it's pushed and not even making us as low as the near term low from last week. So, just not a lot of energy, not a lot of momentum in this one. Even looking at the 30-minute, you guys could see. I mean, it did a lot. Okay, here was that basically the 3-4 o'clock in the morning news. It dropped down and then nothing. It just flatlined as soon as the European market closed. So, okay, the scanner on this one is calling. It's saying sideways with an upward bias. I wouldn't really call it an upward bias. I would say it's more of a downward bias. Again, the gap in this one is kind of messing it up in here. But again, that's why it's important to understand the strategy. Gaps are the one thing that are a little bit harder to read. Okay, look at euro yen. So euro yen, obviously, you guys can see. I don't have euro yen on that one anymore. Euro yen, what did it do? It went all the way down. So here is the 19 candle. Going back, the 19 candle is right here. So we didn't even get back up to the zone. We talked about if we were able to get up to the zone, we'd be willing to take this one short. Unfortunately, what did it do? It didn't make it. We had kind of a failure to go high situation. This is something we've seen, numerous times before, right? Whenever we have a push up and then you see a spike away, all of a sudden you need to adjust your targets. Okay, so in this one, let's do it this way. You guys will see there becomes your new target, or your new kind of entry area. Right? Why? Failure to go higher. It did push away. It came back up and then retested that nice level, and then it pushed back down again. And again, there's where our profit target was. We just hit it literally in the last 30 minutes. So in this case, again, the initial move was about 80 pips is what we were looking for. We didn't get our entry. We had to adjust our entry and got into it there, right? And the target was the same. Again, probably right there is where you would have most likely gotten it to, right? Which is about 60 pips. So risking 10 to make 60. Again, same setup as last night. It just didn't make it all the way to our target, but it did put a selling zone in. That selling zone got put in at about 6 a.m. this morning, and then right around 8 to 9 is where it triggered. And at 10 o'clock, right when the consumer confidence number came out, it drove this thing almost all the way down to profit. You were probably down at 55 pips, and again, a little bit of a retest, and we eventually hit it. So had you set and forget, you were out here. Otherwise, you probably would have banked 50. You would have been like, okay, we're going sideways. Oh, God, it's going back up. Okay, it came down. I'm out. 5 to 1 risk to reward ratio trade. Okay. If you held it till the end like we originally had established, and again, using this as our profit target, okay, there's your risk to reward. Again, there's hold on, that's not straight. I hate when that happens. There you go. Okay. So you did quite hit it here. Missed by pipettes. Up, down, boom, out. Okay. Oh, it's there. There you go. So that's why we drew it last night. So again, entry didn't work, but we missed it. It reestablished a new one. Hit it. 8, 9 o'clock this morning. Bam. Out. And again, you really didn't take much heat in this one. This one within, really by 9:30, it actually started moving a bit early. The news came in here at 10, so you were already up 1 to 1 risk to reward on this one before the news came out, and then it just collapsed on you. So nice little trade setup. If any of you guys, I don't know, did anybody get this one? This is one of those ones that we had the correct setup, but we just had to change the entry on it, and worked out quite well. So if you guys got this one, let me know. All right. Let's go over to euro dollar. Now euro dollar, not crazy movement. Again, we have green, we have red, we have green at the bottom. This one went right up to the 4-hour zone that we talked about, and it did kind of pull away. Right, we talked about, again, if we could get it to push down, it did hit right around 2. Went right back down. Now again, this one was a little bit difficult because obviously where it turned, you guys can see this here. We'll stretch this out a little bit, move it over, up. You guys can see we always talk about retracing back to prior moves, right? Well, it did. It went up, hit the 4-hour zone, came back down, and again we had this black line here talking about, hey, there's a zone right there, right? That's what it ended up hitting. Okay, now again, you could have grabbed it here, you could have grabbed it here. It's kind of doing the same thing again. We could have made the zone smaller. We could have talked about the zone here, okay, and lowered the zone just a bit. And again, same thing. Hit, dropped all the way down, hit this zone, and then went all the way back up again. And now it's kind of retracing back down again. So, kind of a little bit of a retracement, kind of all over the place, right? I mean, you're talking about 18 pips, so it wasn't like anything huge. Okay, the actual kind of zone itself is only about 7 pips. So nothing gigantic on this one. Like I said, as I mentioned last night, the way that this is formed right now, it's just all kinds of crazy drama in there. I don't really like anything in the way that it's formed. But again, the 4-hour zone held. It's still pushing to the downside. Again, it went right to where it was supposed to. Went right back to the start of the prior move. So I wish we were able to get it, farther down, but unfortunately, that's all that it gave us. Right. Where we are now, it's still kind of a mess. Again, we've just bounced off of a 4-hour zone. According, again, if you're using the scanner, it is saying it's down, sideways downward biased. But again, I think it's because of the charts are a little bit different. In this case, this one is obviously a downtrend setup. So, I mean, it pulled up, it grabbed orders, and it's been pushing down. Like I said, when we have big gaps, it can kind of mess the scanner up a little bit. And this one, I think we're good on. Because it's saying that we're sideways, sideways with a downward bias, but this red candle is obviously not engulfed. Okay, it is obviously outside of that green. Okay. I mean, at this point, I'm still bearish this pair, but I mean, as far as a good kind of backstop for it, I don't really have a backstop for it. I'd wait to see. I mean, for tomorrow with oil, I don't think oil is going to affect this one too much. Yeah, I don't even know. I just don't like this. I just really dislike the way that this one is formed on the daily. I just hate this like umbrella pattern. I don't even know what you call this, but I just not a big fan of that whatsoever. I need it to clear top or bottom, and then we can start trying to trade this one. Look at Euro Aussie. Again, Euro Aussie should be pretty predictable. It should look pretty much like the other one. Yeah, same thing. There was that zone we had marked off. It hit it. It kind of went back down again. You guys can see, what did it do? It bounced right off the first profit target that we had. And again, we picked 2 profit targets for this one. The first one being here at the start of this large move up. Second one down here. Okay, again, you always have to have 2. In this case, you guys can see what happened here right at the, you guys can see it. This is a 10-minute, right? There's the 550, right? 550 is right here. What did it do? At 540, you guys can see this. Look, Okay, news came out at 555. What did price do here at 540? Here's 550. And there's obviously the 6. So like right in here. But you guys can see, what did it do right beforehand? It pushed itself up right into that. Okay. 5 minutes before the news came out. Pop. Right into the zone. There's your trigger. Short this puppy and 50 pips in 20 minutes. Okay. Actually, here, let's choose the right color up here. We'll put this here. So you were looking at 9 for 56. So not a bad little quick news trade, right? Again, multiple strategies that you could trade on this. Right? There you go. All right. So again, that's not a bad one. I like that one a lot. Now, if you were able to grab this one, congrats. Again, this was one that obviously you could have traded in, again, a little bit early for U.S. time. Okay. But again, here's kind of the advantage. I know, Ryan, I don't know if you're on tonight. Oh, yeah, you are. Okay, you're in the green. Every night, you guys, your colors change on here, so I'm looking for like different people's colors. Josh Q and Ernest are all pink right now. James is purple. Vic is green, light green, and then Ryan is like this like seafoam green. I don't even know what you call it. Here, I'll drag it over. Like I don't even know what you call this. Like some type of, I guess seafoam green. Is that right? Maybe. I was like, but it's hard. It's kind of hard to see. But Ryan said that he was having a hard time finding some of these setups with things. That's why you guys should use news releases as potential times. Like, hey, listen, I know that I'm used to trading those pairs, and hey, you know what? 555 is early, but it is considered a high news release. I don't really see Aussie news too much. Aussie's a pretty good mover. Maybe I should wake up and go check this one out. Okay, I'll wake up early today and trade this one. Okay, like if you were trading European Open, today would not have been the day to wake up early because there's really not there. Could you have woken up at 5:30 or 5:45 to see if you can make a trade out of this one? Sure, but would you have had to do anything at the European Open? No. There's just nothing there. You could have timed this one. Again, most of you guys are West Coasters staying up late, but sure, you could have grabbed this one. And there was, I saw the post this morning about, whoa, all kinds of movement. Well, yeah, it's because, the end. Right? I mean, he was speaking. It's a big deal. All right. So again, very, very easy news trade if you guys were up ready to catch this one. It was in there. All right. Yeah, I'm here. Baby Blue. Blue, you're green, man. What are you talking about? Yeah, it's different on everybody's because like your own name is different. Yeah, you're like seafoam green or something on mine. I don't know. It's like radioactive nuclear green or something. All right, looking at pound yen. And by the way, so see this loads quick. Probably not. If you get a trade like this, just be done for the day. Okay, do me a favor, walk away. If you get one of these where you're banking 56 pips in 20 minutes, just stop. You know, particularly for news. Go back to sleep. Be happy about your day. You made your daily quota. Just finish it. Don't give those profits back. You know, too many people are like, "Oh, I made 56. Man, I'm gonna get the whole rest of the day. I'm gonna keep going," and then you end up giving things back like that. I mean, 56 pips on this pair, on your Aussie. You're looking at what, 679? Do the math here. 679 times 56 pips. $380 on the day. You know? Not too shabby, right? Okay? I mean, that's above what your target is for the day. Okay? What's the question? What was the stop? Stop is right here, 9 pips. And you almost took no heat on this trade whatsoever. Again, it rallied up into the zone, right? You had your chance to get in, market order it, right? Because it literally rallied into your zone. 9 pip risk, pull out 56. So your risk on this one, again, here, we'll do it this way. It is clear, right? We do 6.79 times 9, $61. Yeah, James. Oh, that's good advice. I didn't do that last week. Walk away. Yeah. Risking six. I mean, how bad if you guys lost $61? Is the end of the world? No, but is 380 pretty nice? Yeah. I mean, if you did 380, say 3 times a week, right? 380 times 3. You guys are making 1140 times that by 4. And that's $4,500 a month extra, right? And you pay less taxes on that, so it actually will feel like more money coming to you. And think about that, right? So this basically means it's an hour a week. So that's on 4 hours. That's 4 hours a week, or 4 hours a month worth of trading, right? If you pull these things out. So here we do it this way. Divide that by 4. You're making, No, actually, yeah, it's 4 hours. Yeah, so you're making $1,000 an hour. Yeah, but I don't believe you guys anymore when you say I'm done for the week or I'm done for the day, because every single time that you guys say that, you guys always go and trade again. Every single time. All right. Jumping across over at pound yen. Again, pound yen is just kind of like, it's a little bit disappointing, running in some areas right here. Had the same type of pop again, but again, you guys can see this one is -6 in 24 hours. So just really nothing really crazy. We had this one little pop here, the 3M candle. It popped up, it grabbed orders kind of right where we thought it would. It went a little bit higher at the top, but came up, grabbed the basing level here, and then came back right to where we were before. So I guess the pop and everything, it was about 60 pips. So again, you could have retraced this one, obviously. As it came up, again, it stopped right on the purple line. Yeah, the purple line was something we drew last night, saying if price came to the zone, we'd be willing to short it. It did. It dropped back down. Again, 4-hour zones, guys. 4-hour zones are like literally the key. If you guys pull nothing else from me, understand that 4-hour zones are really the most important thing to look at, especially when you're dealing with news. Because you can see on the 30-minute, did nothing, came right back up, hit the zone that was formed on the 4-hour, and then came right back down again. So no movement, but it was 60 up, 60 back down. Okay, now most of you wouldn't have grabbed, and I wouldn't have grabbed the 60 on the top side, but 60 on the downside, absolutely. That's definitely something you could have grabbed. Unfortunately, I was dealing with the kid this morning, so I was unable to do this one. I forgot how much fun it was to have a sick child. Not that she's sick often, but I've been very, very, I can't say that. I've been very, very lucky. I think she's only been sick like once, maybe twice in like 16 months. And even then it wasn't bad. But today was kind of one of those fun mornings. And then right after this, right about here, right about this 11 to 11:45 is when I deleted the page. So it was kind of one of those like, you know what? I'm probably due for another coffee. Yeah, that was my morning. Look at pound dollar. Here we go. All right, so interesting enough, we drew all these lines last night on this pair, and you were like, oh, God, Brian, why are you drawing stuff everywhere? And I was like, hey, it's important to have multiple zones kind of labeled out, right? Well, what did it do? Okay, right here you guys can see we are at the 19 candle, and if you look back, here's the 19 candle right here. And what do? We went from one zone right up to the top zone, and we just stayed there. So we are in a position where I actually am looking at shorts in this pair right now. We are in a downtrend setup situation. Um, it's listed as sideways downward bias, but again, the red is not engulfed. Right, it is outside. It is a green candle inside of a red. If you go across the top of the anchor, you hit a red candle here. So it is a downtrend setup situation. We are in a level. It did actually break a little bit through the top. Again, it had some help with kind of the news spike going through. And again, never got a red, green, red until over here. I mean, you could have put it on here. So again, you have the potential to take this one in somewhat of an 8x short. Understand that this one is just going to be a grinder tomorrow. I don't see it being a huge mover. It is not really susceptible to oil news, and there's really nothing else happening tomorrow. So the one thing, and I gave this warning this morning with Nadex, is the biggest problem with Nadex is there's expirations. I mean, Nadex is great because we don't have to deal with the stop loss issue, but the one thing we do have to worry about is time value disappearing. In a day with no news and no catalysts, it does make it a bit harder. When we talk about foreign currencies, it doesn't expire. You can hold it for multiple days and things like that. This one, we'll see if we can get enough movement out of it. I just don't know that we could. Sometimes setups are irresistible. It was calling to. Is that what it was? Now you sound like Ty. Ty couldn't stop with the dollar Swift either. He was all over that pair. Now you're like, it's calling me, man. It's calling me. It's like Pookie from was the movie New Jack City? It's calling me, man. It's calling me. It's Ernest, but the Swiss, it's in the morning. I can't help it. So potential trade setup right here. Looking at this again, I'd probably let's see. Got about 45 pips to the downside. Not too shabby, right? You were looking at it's about 15 pips risk. I mean, if you were taking it, again, this is something you could have taken hours ago and got into it hours ago. So I may even look at this one. I mean, again, I don't have my next platform up. I got enough up right now, but this could even be the potential for a spread. Because there is no news, this one will probably have, could potentially have lower risk in here. Because obviously the volatility is not there because there's no news. So, you could take some type of a grinder. I don't know if I'd take a weekly trade on this one, though. And the reason why is because you only have 45 pips until you get down to this lower 4-hour zone, right? Again, the weeklies are going to have larger strike prices. You're going to have to take on a little bit more risk, especially if you're going to do a little bit more out of the money. Obviously, a 2-hour, there's really not a catalyst to drive a 2-hour. Even with a daily, you're going to be dealing with 2 strike prices. You may not be able to get the entry cheap enough on this one. So you may be able to grab something. That's why I said this one may be a potential for a spread. You may want to wait till the U.S. markets come online, or you start to see some movement. Potentially, it could happen for the European Open. Just what worries it for me is that there's really, looking at tomorrow, there's just really nothing. I mean, there's nothing crazy. I mean, high street lending. I mean, come on, realized sales. I mean, I don't really know that these two guys are going to be able to really move the markets too much. There's just not a lot there in the catalyst, and that's the one thing that kind of again, if you're going to be in just spot currency, you're going to hold it for multiple days, then I think you're okay. You'll probably be all right. But I think for Nadex, I think this one is a little bit risky. I just think time value is going to get us on this one. That pair gives and gives on 2 hours. Yeah, 2 hours is great, but again, you gotta have time. You gotta have it's gotta be when things are moving, right? Got to see what it's going to do overnight and then into the London Open. Okay, it's very susceptible to news. All right, look at pound New Zealand. Now let's see. All right, so we talked about this last night. I guess had we mark this off? Let's see. Here's 15. Yeah, so here's 15 right here. We talked about it. We just missed it. Really hasn't done anything. Right, here's your 19 candle. There's your 19 candle. So, little bit of pop. Right? Here, I'll put this here so you guys can see it. Where it's horizontal line. There's your 19 candle. So here's where we were last night, and here's where we are right now. So, really not a whole lot going on here. Nothing in this one, guys. Purely sideways. And again, no pound news. When the pound news comes, this sucker will move. But again, this is not a net pair. You're gonna actually have to step into the market for this one. But right now, it is kind of in a downtrend setup, but there's no catalyst right now. This one has left the building. Okay, now New Zealand dollar. Oh, this is my least favorite time because I have like one nostril is open, but the other one is not. Now, okay, this one drove through. So had you gotten short this pair, okay, you were up basically 1 to 1, and then this came back and got you. All right, as you can see right here, here's the 2130. Okay, here's the 2130. So if you take it, you guys can see we were just about 1 to 1 risk to reward ratio. Okay, are you gonna win every trade? Nope. Okay, but again, in this case, you would have probably lost 9 pips on it had you been in this trade. It was a 3 to 1 risk to reward ratio trade, not bad. Kind of went sideways, and it really stayed in that zone for a while until we got to that 6 a.m. news, and that's where it would have taken you out. Okay. Again, the 7:30 kind of news above that. Again, not even the 7:30, but the kind of this 5 to 6 area. Again, it's not Aussie, but what happens? The Aussie and New Zealand are basically linked, and they kind of move back and forth. So we are in the same situation. It is still kind of an uptrend, a downtrend setup, right? We did push lower, which is great. Downtrend setup, looking for good quality zones, and that wasn't a bad zone, right? It was a peak. It was a nice push off of that area, and then we're kind of flirting with this stuff. So for me, I'd just probably walk away. Again, we took a shot on this one. It cost us 9 pips, not the end of the world. Again, you're going to lose them. Again, drove higher. No, didn't really give us a retest of that zone or anything, so just missed opportunity. I mean, it does appear that it's going down. We do have red, green, reds to the downside. It is breaking lower. We are a bit in a racetrack. I do believe it can get back down here to this, at least down to 63, which is kind of right above where this blue area is. It's right here. Again, that's the start of this move, so I don't see why it wouldn't be able to come back down. It's only about 15 pips from where we are, so for me, it's not really even tradable. Like I said, this is not one of my most favorite pairs. I don't really, even when there's a setup, a lot of times I don't necessarily. It's not one of my favorite pairs to trade. I think there are better opportunities out there in most cases. Now, if you catch a long trend like this, sure. But you guys know that I'm not holding something from July 21st to September 2nd. I'm not going to be in a trade for a month. That's not me. That's Rob. Just not my thing. Okay. So where we are now, I do see it retracing back down again. We'll see what it's able to do with that zone again. It was a nice pop. Okay, I can't lie. It was a nice pop. This on the 4 hour. We had three of basing and one pop. So blew through the top, took a loss, 9 pips. Not the end of the world. Okay, that's why we keep our risks small. Now dollar Swiss. Dollar Swiss is up minus 40, which is actually pretty impressive for this pair. Okay, looking at the ATR on this one. We are at a 51 pip ATR. Okay, moving 41 now it's 39, but moving 41 is not bad. Okay, I mentioned last night again. We were still definitely bearish on this one. Didn't really have much entry because we had so many wicks up in this area. Now, as you can see, here's the 19 candle going back. The next 19 candle is here. Okay, it did rally back up into an area of basing, although I wouldn't say that this is the highest quality zone. And here's why. Okay, for me, again, a lot of wicks and the bodies are so tiny. I absolutely despise these little tiny candles with no bodies and just all wicks. Is it a good level of basing? Not really. I mean, again, on the daily it looks great, but in the 4 hour it's really, really sloppy. So it did come up. It did hit a zone. It did push away. It wasn't horrible, but again, it's just not something that I'm really into. Like I said, I like nice clean zones and not the cleanest zone. And even from there, I would have been worried about these two zones. And it looks like we did get a bit of a pop right here and then kind of push through. So you could have taken this short again. Like I said, I was bearish bias last night. I had bearish sentiment on there, but there was nothing that screamed for me that there was a setup in this one. I just don't like when things are this wicky. I just kind of leave it and I move on from it. Even the scanner right now is saying that this one is, it's saying it's a downtrend setup. Again, I think this one is off. I think the gap kind of messed this one up a little bit for this week. I don't have a land up right now, but let me see. Actually, you know what? I'll pull it up real quick. Let's see. I use this Oanda on MT4 to, I use it as kind of like my double checker. Dollar Swiss, pull it in. I was like, wait a second, that's a 30-minute. That would be why. Yeah. Okay. So this is what it's saying. This is what Oanda is saying the data looks like right now. So we can compare daily versus daily. Okay. Just slightly different. All right. And again, remember this is all set on bid. Okay. All right. So let's move it to the side. And again, that's one of the other reasons why it's important to know when what your broker is using for end of days. It can be helpful. But trading is no different. Okay. Trading is not really different at all. All right. Go over dollar CAD. Yeah, you got 9 minutes on the New Zealand data. All right. So dollar CAD. Right here, -6. Okay. Now I didn't have a lot. I didn't have a lot of expectations for dollar CAD. I mentioned that yesterday. Here we are right now with the 19 candle, and the 19 candle back here is right here. Okay, so we're basically at the same exact spot. You guys can see this one little spike here was at 11. Again, this was the consumer confidence data that was kind of shooting it up. It actually went down. It did quit. It did move quite far to the downside, and then it spent the entire rest of the afternoon basically, it spent the last 2 hours basically retracing back up again. So, kind of interesting pop. If you see it, again, looking at the candles in here, we talked about being, top and bottom, and I said we were at the bottom of the channel. And again, we did get a nice push through. Again, it did break out of the channel, only to be sucked back in. So it's kind of I wouldn't say there's any type of good entry in here. Had you taken anything, if you would have taken like an out of the money looking for a retracement, it just didn't happen. You would have taken a loss on that one. Again, you're going to break out of channels eventually. Typically, it doesn't pull back this fast, especially at nighttime, which is kind of interesting. But again, looking at it, looking at where the channel was kind of basing off of, I mean, yes, it was bouncing from this point to this point, this point to this point, this point to this point. But if you look back, what was it really bouncing off of? And the answer is it really wasn't bouncing off anything. Was there supply and demand on either top side of this? Not really. I mean, there was a little bit here, right? Right, and that's basically what it kind of bounced off of. So, I mean, what do you see? I mean, again, if you're going to take it, what do you see here? Nothing. It's sideways. Green's completely engulfed. The red's engulfed. I mean, two different color patterns in a row have been engulfed. And in fact, if this turn is green, that'll be three color patterns in a row. This would be engulfed, and this would be engulfed. So, yeah. Yeah, if this turns green, you'll see the red's engulfed, the green's engulfed, and the red's engulfed. So it's purely sideways. It's not really giving us a lot of trend. Again, same thing. I am bearish bias on this one as well. I mentioned that before, and I think oil could potentially push this down on Wednesday. So tomorrow morning, I would probably be looking for a bit of a short on this one. But I don't really have anything to trade because looking at, I mean, where's the zone on the 4 hour? I don't really have any zone entry on the 4 hour, unfortunately. So I'd have to take that closer and use 4 hour, 30-minute, and 5-minute to get something. Just not there. Now, dollar yen. Go on. There we go. All right, so dollar yen. We mentioned before we were bearish, but we were kind of nervous about a trade because we were sitting in a zone, right? 19 candle is here. Going back, 19 candle is here. Okay, so we were in the zone. We were trying to see where it was going to pull back to. We had a 4 hour zone picked. It came up. It actually hit the 4 hour zone and went slightly above it. But had you been trading this Nadex wise, it wouldn't have made any difference if it did just go a little bit out of the top. I think we actually mentioned taking this Nadex wise just because of the kind of the type of news release. It was only about 6-7 pips. So had you added a buffer, you probably wouldn't even got stopped out on this one. Had you taken it in spot currency, but it wasn't a bad mover from it. If you're looking at total movement from this zone, from basically the median price of it, you're talking about a 75 pip mover. Okay, and again, that happened right around, again, the consumer confidence number. I mean, I've been talking about consumer confidence all week. Mentioned it Monday morning about how it was. I don't know, was it number? It may have been number one. Let me see real quick. I'll pull this up. Come on. It's loading. Let's see. Auto saved. Yeah, it was the number 3 one. All right. talked about this was the number 3 one to watch out for on Tuesday. Okay, the next two are later in the week, but that was for the the top 3 consumer confidence. Okay, now what did it deliver? It absolutely delivered, right? Especially on a 2-hour. You're looking at 30 minutes. So you're looking at here's 9, 10. There's the 11 o'clock here. So you're looking at about 5 strike prices to the downside on that one. So not too bad of a trade this morning. And again, that was definitely more of a Nadex based pair. Okay, or Nadex based trade. But nice move. And even if you'd taken that one with the daily, you still move 5 strike prices, right? Because even if you took it here, again at 20 pips apart, you're about almost four strike prices. So not a bad trade setup on that one. Again, 4-hour zone. 4-hour zone. Not concerned about this little kind of wick out of the top. Actually, it should have been. Let me adjust the zone correctly. Why can't I select it? There we go. There's the. I'm trying to get the top of the wick here. And you can see it went just barely out of the top. All right. So there you go. There was your Nadex trade from last night. Again, 4-hour zones, guys. 4-hour zones are key. Okay, you gotta love the 4-hour zones. And again, what did it do? It drove right up into this thing right before news, which we absolutely love. Absolutely textbook setup. It hit, dropped, and again, within an 8-hour period of time, you're talking about a 75 pip move. So not too bad. I'm looking at CAD yen. I'm gonna skip CAD Swiss tonight because I don't feel like looking at it. Just because we have oil tomorrow, so I'm looking at this one. All right. Let's see. What do we got here? Man, we got a couple things down here, over on here on the bottom. Man, I don't know if I like any of these zones down here. This green is way far down here. It's a retest. So it looks like this is the only fresh one. And we're kind of sitting there right now. I guess. Yeah, probably that one. That's probably what we're looking for news spikes, top and bottom. Again, it's shown us that there's something up top. It's shown us there's something down bottom. Again, it will be the second attempt in. Although prices, it just barely grazed the top of the surface before. The next zone down is all the way down here near the black line, down at 79.70. That's just a bit too far. That's quite a large move to be kind of dealing with. I mean, it would have to be an absolutely gigantic miss. It's a lot. I mean, you're talking about from where current price is. Yeah, you're talking about 119 pips. It's not moving 119 pips with an ATR of 50. That would be gigantic. I don't even really like this top zone that much. It's the first fresh one up there, but I mean, there's not a whole lot of clear. Yep, Bryan. Have a good night, buddy. Honestly, I don't really love this one either. I don't mind this bottom one. This top one, I I wouldn't say it's kind of an explosive movement. I like this. I love this zone down here. I think this kind of being the very strong kind of extended range candles out of it. I don't mind this one either. This was kind of an up, sideways pop. Pop again, went higher, and then kind of got pushed back down again, which is fine. But then when it looked for more orders, it grabbed it and then kind of launched this entire kind of, huge push off of it, right? This one, it's not horrible, but it's not as exciting. We're going to see what it's able to do. So I think marking those two zones off, if we can end up in one of those two zones before oil tomorrow, I think that would be helpful. Again, maybe position ourselves before the oil release. And again, oil tomorrow is at, again, 10:30. So maybe start checking at 10 o'clock. See if we push in either of these two zones, and then drop it down to a 30-minute and see if we got a little bit more explosive. And treat your 30-minute like your 4 hour. And then I'll drop down to your 5-minute. So in which case, you make this your 4 hour over here on the left. Make this top right one, make your 30-minute. And then as far as your big analysis goes, do it down on the 5-minute and see if that gives you some type of a quality setup. It's the best advice I can give you on that one. Unfortunately, because it's just grinding back again off this 4 hours this level, and we're kind of in between two right now. Grinding markets are just not as much fun, and the cat has just really had not a lot of catalyst lately. So we'll see if that's able to give it to you. All right. I muted you right before I sneezed. I just want to let you guys know. I got it off just in time on mute, so I'm happy about that one. So with that being said, guys, that's really the last pair setup that we have for tonight. It's 10 o'clock now. Let's see. Let's see what we got here as far as the rate change. I'm pretty sure it's nothing. Yeah, it's nothing. I don't think we probably didn't even get much. We'll see what's in the statement. See if there's any type of movement. Real quick. Yeah, see it came down to that zone. It was grinding down on the 30-minute. Right here, pushed in and then kind of popped back up again. So getting a little bit of a pop. There must be something in the statement that they're saying isn't bad. We'll see how far this is actually able to go. But interesting enough, what did it do? It created its white space underneath, right? It's a kind of a long extended momentum breakout, but again, extend this across from where it was. There's your zone right there. You guys can see it. It hit it, right? Came down and popped. What are we looking at right now? Yeah, we got about 25 pips, 26 pips. So it looks like it's moving. Not too bad. Again, I'm curious what's in that statement now. Let's see what this one did. Oh, and then it blew up on me. Come on, we waited to the last one. Crudo took a beating this morning. I'm interested to see what it does tomorrow morning. Yeah, so it's dropping. Something similar. Now again, this move is 85, 86. So quite a bit of movement there. So downside. So what this means, guys, and like I said, I don't keep up enough with the New Zealand news. It's not something that that I follow that closely. What they're probably expecting is they wanted to move. So what they were doing is they were probably saying, "Hey, listen, we need to be doing something, right? We need to be, something needs to happen." And now it's not. Again, so there may have been. So what it's doing is it's probably. Remember I said that I don't think they were rate cutting it this time. I think they were rate cutting it next time. It's probably what they're preparing. There must be something inside of this statement that is kind of leading them that interest rates are good, or the overall market thought that they were going to cut, and they didn't believe the forecast, and the fact that they held it actually gives them a little bit of strength. Okay. Yeah, this pair is always like this though. I mean, you look over at the actual New Zealand pair, like, yeah, it's moved 26. That's quite a move. And then you jump over here, you're like, holy crap, it moved 90. But I mean, look what it went into. I mean, did it drive up into a zone? Yeah, it kind of did. But again, as fast as this happened, Ernest, this could have been against you. I mean, it could have definitely popped. And look at the spread. Right? You're talking about a 9 pip spread right now. 8 pip spread. So I mean, quite a big spread versus this one, which is it's still 4, but it's already starting to falter. Now we're down to like 3.5, so it's starting to come back down again. But yeah, you can get on one of these. You can get on the sled for the pound New Zealand. It's a nice mover. So all right, guys. So last chance. Go ahead and do your exclamation point ticket, and we will go ahead and get you guys pip chips tonight. And remember, if you guys go across over to the stream store, that's how you redeem things. I think if I actually go to the open store, that's how you guys would do it. You just click this redeem button if you guys wanted to start getting these. Um, yeah, that's it. I don't even know if I get an email or not. I have no idea. But if you do me a favor. If you do redeem one of the mentor sessions, please let me know, just so I can make sure that I am notified for it. I don't know if it's 100% set up correctly, but we will see. And again, you guys should be able to get to Stream Elements. I think it uses your Twitch. So when you go to Stream Elements, make sure that you log in with Twitch, and you should be able to go to the Stream Store. Okay. I think actually, if you click at the bottom of this page, if you click on the you guys see, if you scroll down on this page, you'll see the Pip Chip leaderboard. If you click in the upper left-hand corner, actually, maybe it's the right side. No, it's the left side. You can click the image of that rocket ship on the left-hand side, the upper left-hand, and that will take you over there. And that's how I think you find the store. And again, it's just streamelements.com/keep trading simple/store, and that's how you would get over there to do the redemptions. All right. A bunch of you guys are at the stage where you could start doing that. All right, so I'm going to close the giveaway. I'm going to pick the winner, and the winner is Will. Okay, Will, 11.11%. Okay, giveaway is marked as complete. Let's go over and give Will his things. And again, Will, you definitely have enough. Ernest has enough. Many of you have enough at this point. All right, I'm going to put that once that class is finished. Like I said, I'm trying to get the board up today. Once that class is finished, I will put that up there as well. You guys have a bit more time to go until you guys can get to that range. But that will be up there as well. And the rich get richer. Hey, you know what? Ernest had what, 3 in a row, 4 in a row, something like that. James had cranked off a couple. So, it's always the guy that, didn't win yesterday that's always the one that's complaining. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. Will's like, my God, it's only been 6 weeks. Gotta catch Ernest. Yeah. Yep. All right, guys, with that being said, I will catch you guys tomorrow night. Sorry if I'm not super energetic. Obviously, stuffy nose, meds, 2 days of morning and nighttime chart schools. So definitely Tuesday is not my most energetic time. So I will see you guys around tomorrow. I will get that thing up for the scanner as well. If you guys want to take it, check it out real quick. Let me shoot over there. Where is it? Over here. Bam, here's what the current scanner is if you guys want to take a quick screenshot of it. Like I said, you're in New Zealand, it's giving you an uptrend setup, obviously because the candle is red right now, but again, that one is most likely going to retrace. You can see the only other things on the board is the, obviously the dollar pairs. Dollar CAD, dollar yen, dollar Swiss are all down. New Zealand dollar is obviously, downtrend setup. Again, that one is probably playing a bit of a catch-up right now. And I have this resetting every so often, all right? That's about it for overnights right now. Again, pretty sideways on a lot of things. Okay, like I said, during the day, another thing too is the way that I'm using the 4-hour downtrend setup a lot during the day. That's kind of the main one. And again, I'll do the 1 hour for kind of 1 hour 10 minute. I don't really use the 15 at all. It's on there because it's the standard, but I don't necessarily use it. Okay, you could technically use the 35 or use the 30. So I could stop this. Oops, not this one. Hold on. It's this one. I can change my matrix here, and instead of doing 15, I could do 30 for during the day. And click OK, and scan, and you're golden. So I use this one and this one. And now it's saying everything is this. So I don't know. I think it's updating right now because I just hit the scan and go button. Yeah, so it's saying that everything is uptrend setup. So that's where we are right now. Like I said, whenever you start messing up things, it needs to catch up. All right. So guys, with that being said, we will take off, and I will catch you guys tomorrow.